everybody. Terry Brown again on All Bass No Bull. And today we're going to go to the left side of the country. We're going to go to California, actually, West Coast. And I got a guy that has worked harder than anybody I know in the fishing industry to grow that group out there in Western Outdoor News. Is with me today is Billy Egan. Billy, excited about this because you and I've got probably 20 years under our belts with each other. Pardon me. And talking back and forth. And you're the guy that really brought the U.S. Open back to life, I think. And I mean, you guys had always had the love of the U.S. Open, but when you got involved, you hustled. You went out and got guys involved. You got guys coming back and fishing, and I love what you've done.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a labor of love for sure. It's the end of my 16th year here with Juan Bass, Western Outdoor News, and running all the events for Western Outdoor News, not just Juan Bass events, but it's something I love to do. It's, to be involved with all these guys and to have so many of these pros and co-anglers become friends throughout the years. It's something I love to do. It is a lot to handle. Nobody seems to have any concept of time, whether it's a weekend, a Saturday, a Sunday. The phone's always ringing, and we're there to hold their hands, even though all the information they always ask is always on the website. But some of these guys, uh, love them or hate them, you gotta coddle them and make sure that they're getting what they need and feeling important, and that's part of the whole deal. Everybody matters, and if you treat everybody the same and give everybody respect, they'll give it back. And Juan Bass has been around for many, many years, a lot longer than I've been around. It has been 16 years. It's been a great experience, and we've got great partners throughout the years. And right now we're partnered with great partners: Ranger Boats, Bass Pro Shops, Mercury Motors, longtime sponsor, Bridgeford Foods, and all the support that we get from the industry, the anglers, and the recognition from the East uh, really goes a long way, because our Western anglers are, really, really good anglers. Obviously, you see some of the guys that are fishing the elite levels that came from California or, the Western states out here. And fortunately, in the last 2 years, we've been partnered with Bassmaster, which was a big step for us as well, using the Bass Nation program for our anglers out west to qualify through Bass Nation to go to the Bass Nation Championship. There's 25 pros and 25 co's that fished our 2024 season that qualified for this year's championship at La Crosse. And I'm going actually to support all our guys to be there and, see one of our Western guys hopefully take a top three and get a berth to the classic. It's what dreams are made out of.
Well, it's funny. You were talking about how tournament anglers are fickle and they kind of do different stuff, but you can tell them 100 times they're 15-inch, 5 fish limit, right? And if somebody will ask you, I guarantee it will happen. They'll ask you. I run tournaments a little bit here, and it's amazing to me. And it doesn't matter if they have to read it. They don't see it. So it's important that you know that. You got a lot of things happen in California first. The glide bait thing, the big swim baits, all that kind of stuff came from there. Then the finesse techniques that are available now all came from the West Coast. A lot of them did, and there's a lot of great companies in California and the West Coast. But you have a group of anglers now that are getting name recognition, and that's not just in your geographic area, but across the country. And those guys are getting name recognition, and I have to give you credit for that too. Is you're doing a good job of making sure that people, when they win, they're noticed. They're noticed, and a lot of the guys that you got are household names now, and didn't used to be that way. I mean, a lot of the guys, Jay Ellis, Gary Klein, all those guys that have come from West, Skeet Reese, that have come from the West, they were already household names. But now you're bringing a new genre of angler in, younger guys, some of those kind of guys that are coming from out West.
Yeah, we've got great anglers out this way. I mean, the U.S. Open itself brings a lot of the elite guys out here, and that's, a big deal for these guys out west to be able to, enter a tournament and be able to fish against Lake Mead. We just had Rick Clunn and John Murray came all the way out to fish that particular event. the U.S. Open as people. Clifford Pirch, three-time U.S. Open champion. He's the only one right now that could win a fourth. Unfortunately, Aaron passed, and he was a three-time U.S. Open winner and a great friend of mine, and is dearly missed. But Spencer Sheffield comes out to fish that. He's gotten second a couple times. We've got Josh Bertrand, a lot of big names come all the way out to fish the U.S. Open and to fish our open events. We have 4 regional events every year, one at Lake Shasta, Clear Lake, Lake Havasu. We just had ours at Lake Mead where Dylan Denny won that. And, it started a couple of years after I began. My first tournament I ever ran was 2010 U.S. Open. And I think it was 2 years after that, we got together with Dan O'Sullivan and Mark Jeffries and brought the live broadcast of the U.S. Open out, which really broadened the reach of the U.S. Open and really brought the attention back to the U.S. Open on a national scale. And we've continued that. And as Western Outdoor News, been around for 70 plus years, as the leading West Coast outdoor print information. We modified Western Outdoor News to be a complete platform, whether it's social media, print, online, whatever it is, we're involved. And to have people like Ricky Bodsford come out, like to the last Lake Mead event, just lends to it to get reach with Bass 365 and being on podcasts like yourself. I was just on BTL earlier this morning with Mr. Pangrak, and just trying to get as much exposure, not only for Wombat Bass, but for the anglers. And that helps them with their sponsorships. And those relationships become our relationships because, it takes a village to put these type of events together. It's not a one-man show by any means, although I am the one in charge of things. We couldn't do it. I couldn't do it by myself. I've got a great team. I've got some staff that now has been working with me for over 14 years to travel all the events with me, and to have the support system, not only Western Outdoor News behind me, but the staff that knows what needs to be done before I ask them to do it. And Teresa, my right hand, anytime I need something, I'm like, hey, Teresa, can I? And she'll hand it to me before I even finish what I'm saying. So, it's been a awesome ride. I look forward to continuing this. I told everybody I got 10 more years at least, so I'm not going anywhere. We're going to continue doing this, growing fishing and the opportunities out west through our relationships, our partnerships, and produce the biggest and best and highest payout tournaments there are. And it's one of the things we pride ourselves on is, every one of our events is over 110% payout on the pro side. So the value is there. I mean, you take the U.S. Open by itself, the $1,600 entry can earn you winning this tournament with over 150 boats, $100,000 boat plus around $70,000 in cash. So you're taking home over $150,000 for a $1,600 investment. And that's not many organizations can say that.
No.
Serious gear for serious anglers. DD26 delivers tournament-tough performance you can trust. From the front to back of your boat, DD26 has you covered. DD26. No shortcuts, just badass American-made gear.
Bass are ubiquitous to 49 states, 48 states. I guess there's some in Hawaii too, but Alaska is the only place that doesn't have any. And what we do is we're kind of myopic. We look at our geographic area we live, whether it's Alabama, Florida, Texas, whatever, and we really don't look at it as a countrywide phenomenon. I mean, bass fishing is everywhere. And I think what you did and where I saw you hustle, and I talked to you a lot about that, is that you went and tried to get everybody that could get there there. And I think that that's so important. You got to hustle. If you're just going to run a tournament and put a placard up, it could be good or it may not be. And what you did is you went out and reached out to people, hustled, went out and did a good job making sure that happened. Now, you guys have used a shared weight program. And can you kind of give us a little bit of a detail? I think that's a great concept. I was out there with the Lucas tournament. We did the same thing, used a share weight. But tell me about why you do that shared weight program?
Well, shared weight has been going on at Wambass for longer than I've been here as a tournament director. I took over from Harvey Naslund, who really pioneered bass fishing tournaments out here out west in the early days. And there were a number of Mike Kennedy and Bill before me. Um, I took a different approach, and basically, in the beginning when our numbers weren't what they are now, and I say this a lot, I wish I still had the time that I had then to literally pick up the phone and call every single person I could to personally invite them to come to the tournament, because it goes a long way when you reach out to somebody and say, hey, you matter, you or somebody that I would love to have at the event. We'd be glad to have you. Please try to make the schedule work for yourself. And that was a big part of how myself and our team built Wambass back up, was that personal touch. And I still have that on a social media level. I still reach out. I still post all the time. I answer my phone every hour of the day, any day. Doesn't matter if it's Saturday, Sunday, holidays. My phone's always on, so I'm available for that. So, being that we're a shared weight tournament uh, organization, I think we're the only one in the nation that has a shared weight format. I think there's one out in Canada that currently uses shared weight format. Basically, all of our tournaments, whether it's one of our regional tournaments, Lake Shasta, Clear Lake, Havasu, Lake Mead, and the U.S. Open, they're all shared weight. So basically, prior to the tournament, they're all 3-day events. We make sure that we have as many pros as many co's matched up, and then through our tournament software that we've been tirelessly working on with one of our partners for many years, and I've was very involved in helping him take that program from its rudimentary development to where it's at today, where we have text software available. We basically pair all the pros and the cos, and before the tournament, we put them in the system, which is a randomly shuffle system, and it randomly pairs a pro with a co-angler each day, never twice in the same tournament. So you'll never fish with the same person twice. They go out randomly as a team that day, and the best 5 fish between the two of them is what they weigh in at the end of the day. We also have pro big fish on the pro side and the co side, so they will separate those particular fish while bringing them to the weigh-ins, identifying those big fish as a pro and a co, because we have built-in payouts on our entry fees for big fish, both sides. And it's a great way, and for us, it's worked out really well. And I've actually had many conversations with Bassmaster and other organizations that it has huge benefits, because one of the big things today is forward-facing sonar and how it's changing the landscape of bass fishing. And in the years that I've been doing this, because we're the only shared weight format, and we had FLW and MLF and other organizations that were non-shared weight format, I know for a fact that we graduate more AAAs to the pro side because of the experience that they get to share with that pro on the boat. And especially with forward-facing sonar, they're not stuck in the back of the boat, getting back seated, if you will. They can come on the front deck, experience what that pro's doing, and learning how they use the new technologies to better their fishing experiences, and go at the end of the day or an end of a tournament. Yeah, I've got a boat. I can do that. I want to be able to make my decisions. I don't want to be driven by somebody else deciding where we're going, what we're doing. I'm going to be a pro now. I'm just going to step up, pay that entry fee, which is what it's should be designed to do, is, get these guys involved. The pros literally open up their lockers, say, hey, if you don't have the right spinning rod, if you don't have the right leader, if you don't have the right lure, I've got it all for you, because the end goal is for us to catch the biggest 5 fish we can together. We're not going to fish again tomorrow. We're not going to fish again together the day after that. So let's make today the best experience we can. And lifelong friendships are built through shared weight formats because of the experience that they're able to have. They're feeling like they're working together for a common goal. Now, earlier, when Harvey Naslund gave me a really short training period before I took over the 2010 U.S. Open. Co-anglers, uh, and the reason we do it randomly and never the same co-angler twice is that it's a lot harder to cheat or do something nefarious when you're fishing with somebody you don't particularly know. And we all know about that 2010 experience where that uh, person was putting weights in one of the fish, and then he was only able to do that because the co-angler was getting the boat or the truck to get the boat out of the water, and he had that particular time by himself. So co-anglers were originally brought into this as a policing opportunity to keep the events on the up and up and to keep all the anglers on point. So it has many advantages. It's worked really well with us and or for us, and it's not something we'll ever change.
I see it has potential for BFLs. It has potential for draw type formats across the country, not just in California. When we did the Lucas event, we used it. I didn't know anything about it, honestly. And I'm like, man, this is pretty cool. And for the reasons you've given, it makes it so that it's more fair, it seems like. And it also makes it so you're not watching somebody looking at the back of their head. So I think that it's probably got some really strong potential that way as well. But I like the idea that you're bringing those triple A's up into the pro level by just because of that experience. I think that's really nice.
Yeah, well, our job is not only to run tournaments, it's also to push the needle on the sales side. You want people out there buying boats, you want them out there buying rods and reels and components and baits and line and product. And in order to do that, you have to graduate those people from maybe the beginner side of things. I mean, co-anglers come at all levels. There's guys who are brand new to the fishing side of things and have caught some bass in their local lake from shore, and they hear about it and wait for $400. I can fish for 3 days with three different pros and learn from those guys, and give them a little gas money and get a new vision on how to take that information and turn it into their own and become a boater, buy a boat, become a pro. It's really helped, and it keeps the growth going in this tournament scene.
Well, the other thing that you think about is that not everybody's going to be a tournament fisherman, right? Not everybody's going to do that. However, everybody that maybe doesn't tournament fish buys stuff. They buy
Right.
equipment. So if you get a fan out of the deal, that's every bit as important sometimes as making another pro out of the deal. So I think that it's important. You guys are looking at this thing. You're very charitable in making sure that co-angler is taken care of as well as the pro. And I can tell you that my days have been around this a long time. Is I watched the U.S. Open just like I did the Classic, and the main reason for that is I had an affinity with the group of guys that were fishing at that time, whether it was Rick Clunn or John Murray or whoever. And I think it's important. I'm as much of a fan now as I was when I started. And I think that we need you guys doing what you're doing at the U.S. Open and with the Opens there to be able to continue to grow our sport. The kids right now are ate up. I started a high school fishing program in Illinois, and we were the first sanctioned state to actually have it as a sport. And I got accused of being a pain in everybody's butt because all I was doing is creating athletic directors' work. And when they find out they really didn't have any work, that they were just letting these kids fish. Now we got leagues cropping up all over everywhere of high school anglers, college anglers, then become college anglers. They're looking at it as a way to move forward in their fishing experience, not necessarily to become a pro, but to move forward in their fishing experience. They go to college, then they can make that decision. Fish opens, do whatever they want to do. I think it's our job, my job in particular, to make sure that I talk about that. I talk about kids doing what they do. I always said, every kid you get fishing is one less you have to worry about breaking into your car. And I think it's important that we're doing this with these kids.
Yeah, there's worse things than kids could do than go out in a day in the lake or walk around the lake and catch a couple fish and keep themselves out of trouble. I mean, that's one of the things my parents allowed me to do at a young age. I used to sneak out of the house at 2:30 in the morning to ride my bike to the local lake to catch a fish, and I thought I was being sneaky. And my parents later, we knew you were going to the lake. We knew what you were doing. There could have been worse things you were doing. We were happy that that's what you were passionate about. And fishing for me was always was something my father instilled in me. He was from Colorado and was a big trout guy and got me into fishing. We'd go on half day charters out of Dana Point. We'd go trout fishing. We'd go bass fishing. And after college, and when I got married, I realized that I couldn't do everything I was doing beforehand, playing volleyball, golf, fishing, all the different activities I was doing. And I was like, okay, now that I'm getting married, I'm having kids, what's the one thing I can focus on that truly makes me happy? And that was fishing. And like you said, California was the birthplace, if you will, of big swim baits. And I got wrapped into that and started making my own fishing lures and putting them online, convinced the guy to give me an underwater camera to show off his product at the same time I was showing off my product. And then
Freaking casting.
I think it was a year after I had actually applied to Western Outdoor News, I got a call saying, "Hey, how'd you like to run fishing tournaments?" And I had just lost my job in the construction industry in '08, so things were tough there, and I was making baits in the garage and selling them online on Facebook. And then somebody said, "Hey, how would you like to run fishing tournaments?" I'm like, "Unemployed. I love to fish. You want to pay me to get in the fishing industry? Sure, I'll do that."
Yep.
And originally it was 3 events that they hired me for, which were a couple family fun events, some trout tournaments, and a striped bass tournament. But Harvey was here doing the wombat stuff, and that's really what I gravitated towards. And at the time, Harvey, the 2010 U.S. Open, that's when Harvey put together the Legends tribute to the Legends dinner when ISE or ICAST used to come out to Vegas, and he put on this big shindig with all the big top names. And that Friday night, that event went off flawless. And he turned to me and said, "Hey, Bill, nobody knows, but I've got brain cancer. I'm really tired. I'm not going to be able to maintain the U.S. Open like I should. You're the new tournament director. The U.S. Open's all yours." And I was like, "I've never run a tournament in my life, and I'm going to run the largest tournament in the West." He's like, "Yeah, you got it. I can tell you've got the personality for it. You've got the knack for it. Just go be you, be honest." And the most important thing Harvey ever told me was give them a show, make them feel important, give them an opportunity to be seen and to be heard, and you will have done your job. And so I've focused on that ever since. And our platform is their platform, because without their platform, we don't have a platform.
Right. Tell me about what's coming up for One Bass and what you got going on next few months.
Well, we just wrapped up our Lake Mead Open, which is our fourth regional event at Lake Mead. And Lake Mead's been, on and off the schedule. They've got a lot of problems with their water levels out there. This year, we had 100 boats out at Lake Mead. The water level was about 5 feet lower than it was last year when we had a tournament at Lake Mead. The fishing was good, not quite as good as last year's tournament, where guys were catching. Julius Maisie was catching 18, 19, 20-pound bags. We did have a couple decent bags. An 8.05 pounder was caught at Lake Mead by Joe Uribe. But the Colville Bay is only down to two ramps, 2 lanes basically, one good lane and one on a pipe mat lane. And it's supposed to go down another 10 feet between now and next year. So it makes it real hard to put on an event there, get as many boats as we typically do at our tournaments out on the water in time. So the next event coming up is our mothership event, the U.S. Open. It's the granddaddy of them all out here out west. We've got lots of big name pros that come out to fish the U.S. Open. You've got Clifford Perch, 3-time U.S. Open champion, the only one that can put a fourth one to his title, because our good buddy Aaron Martins passed away a few years ago, who also won 3 and was a great friend of ours. And the perpetual trophy sitting right over here, that Aaron's mom gave us his 2011 trophy, and we built this wood stand and have every single person's name on it that's ever won it. So we bring that out to the event, and everybody gets to take a look at that and dream of having their name put upon that perpetual trophy. The U.S. Open this year is going to be at Lake Mojave, where it's been for the past couple of years, because Lake Mojave does not fluctuate more than 3 to 5 to 8 feet a year. There's only one time, typically in October, that they bring the level down a little bit for some mitigation issues, I think, with some caddis flies or something that hatches up there. But the smallmouth fishing and the largemouth fishing, I mean, it's half the size of the Lake Mead, but the fish are twice the size. And the opportunities to catch a really good bag exist out there. You've got Laughlin Tourism Commission, who's heavily behind the U.S. Open. They've got 8 hotels that we've worked with throughout the years. They're very boat friendly now, charging facilities available at all the host hotels. Then you got Catherine's Landing, that's literally 15 minutes away from Laughlin. It's got a great launch facility. They roll out the red carpet for us and our anglers, and lots of slips, gas on the water. It just makes it really, really simple and really easy to run that event. And we bring out a big, huge concert stage and make sure that everybody that fishes the Open feels important while they're out there. And then we give everybody an opportunity to be seen and be heard at the event. And you know, as I mentioned, for $1,600, there's no event that you can take as much home winning that tournament with a 90+ thousand dollar brand new Ranger Z5 20R with a Mercury 250 on it, with other sponsors products from Power Pole and DD26 and all of our partners. Bridgeford Foods, they put up a $10,000 bounty for the Angler of the Year. So after all 5 events, after the U.S. Open, we crown a Angler of the Year champion, hand over a $10,000 check to them, and it's been a great success. I mean, guys out west, they gravitate towards our events because we have great payouts. We do what we say what we do, and we back up everything that we're there that we're promoting. So
Let's talk a
um,
little bit as we end this thing. Let's talk a little bit about, let's get some more people from the East involved. How do I find out what's going on at One Bass? How do I find out what you're doing? Is there Facebook pages, websites? Give me some of that information.
Yeah, we have a centralized website. It's wombass.com. It's also under wombassevents.com. They both lead to the same website to find out everything that's going on as far as our yearly events. We're just about to release our brand new schedule for 2026 and our continued partnership with Bass Pro Shops, Ranger Boats, and Mercury Motors. We'll be giving away 5 boats again next year, 5 motors. But you can find us on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, on Instagram. We're on every social media platform there is, promoting our events, our anglers, and our sponsors as much as we possibly can. So for you guys out east, and we've had a good number of people that are traveling every year. We've got a couple guys that come all the way out from Texas for every one of our events. You got Kurt Dove and a few other people. You've got people coming from Wisconsin this year, Ohio this year to the U.S. Open. Spencer Sheffield's coming. We got a new one coming this year. Few people out there might know, and he asked me not to say much, but since we're so close and we've already put it out in print, Ben Milliken's going to be showing up this year fishing the U.S. Open, which is great to have him come out there. He's done some wonderful work on smallmouth, and we look forward to seeing him come out. Josh Bertrand. I mentioned Clifford Perch. It's a great who's who of West Coast bassers. And Gary Yamamoto signed up again this year. So the legend himself is going to be there. I think 4 years ago, started the Wombass Hall of Fame, which every year we induct a few new guys into the Wombass Hall of Fame. This year it's going to be at our expo, which is another benefit of the U.S. Open. We have the day before the event is our U.S. Open Expo, an indoor facility where all the sponsors get a table. They get to meet and greet all the anglers. They get to meet and greet all the touring anglers that come out, whether it's Chris Zaldane or other anglers that come out and experience the majesty, if you will, of the U.S. Open. And but yeah, you can find out anything you want, and if you reach out through Instagram, Facebook, our website, everything comes directly to me. The person that will reply to your questions or concerns myself, because we want to make sure everybody gets, their answers answered and they get information that's important to them to make them feel included.
Well, Billy, I appreciate you being with us. All bass, no bull. You did a great job. You continue to do a great job. Thanks for being with us.